Once again, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Front Door Show brought to you by Four Fantastic Events. I'm your host, DJ Prieto, and today I have Rick Perez with the Perez Brothers History. Rick, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Good. So as I tell all my guests, I want you to do me a favor and introduce yourself and kind of, if you got some websites or anything like that, please let them know. Tell them who you are and give a little history about your brothers and you and so forth. All right.
Okay. Well, I'm Rick Perez on behalf of the Perez Brothers here from Chicago. You can catch us. We have our mixes on mixcloud.com/Perez Bros Chicago. We also have a SoundCloud page, which is soundcloud.com/Rick Perez. We also have a YouTube page, which is more and more getting more used. You know, obviously, there's so much with the social media and stuff like that we kind of forget about YouTube, even though it's as popular as it is. But you can go on youtube.com/Rick Perez Chicago, and those are the pages that you can find. And you can find us on Instagram. We're on Instagram at Perez Bros Music. You can find me under Rick Perez Chicago, and as well as on Facebook. So Rick Perez Chicago or Perez Bros.
Cool. So, Rick, just on a personal note, out of you and your brothers, who was the first one to get into the music?
So it started with my oldest brother, Jesse.
Okay.
Jesse was the first one that got started, which it was a friend. It was actually three brothers who were friends of the family. Peter C., which is Cariaga, Juventino Cariaga, and Mark Cariaga. So
Okay.
they were, they were from the neighborhood, and they knew my family for the longest. And they were DJs. They were DJs in the scene. The oldest one, Peter, Tino as well, and Mark. Mark was just kind of just like the party guy. There's always, there's the party guy, but Mark was the one that who had associates that were DJs, and that's how they got into it. So they got into it. They were they did parties. They were DJing, and then when my brother Jesse come, he asked Pete, and he's like, "Hey, I would love to DJ." He's like, "Okay." He's like, "But if you're serious, only if you're serious about this." He's like, "I'm not gonna waste my time." He's like, "I know you guys are young, you guys want to party, but he's like, if you guys are really want to do this, then."
When you say young, what was young?
I want to say high school. I want to say maybe high school days. So like about 14, 15.
Okay.
And then Jesse started it, and they had the equipment. Obviously it was all vinyl. It was the vinyl and a basic mixer. And then Eddie got into it, and Omar got into it, and then I followed. And we have a younger sister that she never got into it. So it was just the brothers. It was just the brothers. So
what is the age difference between you guys?
So Jesse's the oldest. We are technically all of Jesse and Eddie are 2 years apart. So as well as Omar with Eddie, then Omar and myself are 4 years apart, and then our sister is 4 years apart.
So that would make the math 8 years difference from the oldest, then, right?
Yeah. I'm the baby. I'm the baby of the boys.
Okay. So if you don't know, I'm quick on math, so sorry about that.
When it comes to math.
And so so when Jesse started and doing the music, how did you guys? Were you just because of the equipment being at home, or was it that you guys were at the same place, or how was that you guys got into started?
So I mean we our parents had had a basement and stuff, so they would be down there practicing. We got some of the equipment borrowed to us, and then little by little we started buying our own stuff. So we had it was good that we had the Cariaga brothers help us out a lot at the beginning, and then little by little, that's when more friends started coming around and getting plugged into the nightlife scene. Jesse was, when I was talking with Jesse about this, I was telling him, hey, they're gonna interview us, and he was just like, I needed, a little, history of how everything started. And he was just like, yeah, he's like, it was a basic, like, we used to they used to throw parties in our basement, and little by little that started the whole networking. And then, Jesse, told me that he was able to get into the scenes at first through the Salamanca brothers, which is, Joaquin, Joaquin
Yep.
Salamanca, and they were doing the clubs, they were throwing the parties and everything. And then little by little, they started getting residencies at different places. They would DJ at Convent, or they would DJ at the Drink, and various other clubs and stuff. And I was gonna write this stuff down too, just to remember all the clubs. But then, there's so many. Yeah, there's so many. And then,
But wait, but you're missing, there's a big gap here because you're saying that Jesse was 14, 15, and then you're talking about nightclubs. That's like an 8-year gap.
oh yeah, no, yeah.
So-
That's how, yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, no, because obviously at first it was, when you can't get into the clubs, it's mainly all the house parties. Like I said, they were doing the basement parties, and they would go and DJ at other parties as well. And
So what was the neighborhood that you guys grew up in with all these?
you're Pilsen.
Okay, it
So
was
Pilsen, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but and at the same time, we knew a lot of friends from other different neighborhoods. So, they would, hey, we're gonna have a house party, so we're gonna go here, we're gonna go here, and it's just that was mainly the thing. It was mainly house parties.
I was talking to one of the other interviewers, and they talk about party crews that
Yeah.
And I hope you got, yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, sorry about that. Yeah, so, there
You were
I was
by the
talk-
party cruise.
yeah. Did sort of, yeah, where did you guys create, is that how that was kind of done with you guys?
Well, with us, I mean, I guess it was mainly the fact of like all our friends from the neighborhood, and people that we went to school with and all that. So that was a way of just getting to know different people from different neighborhoods. And that's how that is how my brothers were all starting off, mainly the house parties. And that's when we had all the equipment in the store in the basement. And my brothers were just like, oh, let's start throwing parties down here. And they were very well known. And that's how we started little by little getting to know, especially for me, like me, that's how I started knowing other DJs. Like that's what I remember, the basement parties. That's when I met Victor Salazar for the first time. I met Julius Oliver. I met Bass Boy, and I remember Bass Boy was like so a big influence on me. Obviously, besides my brothers, because he had all these mixes coming out. He had the freestyle mixes. He had alternative mixes.
You're talking about the
Ralphie T.
mixtape, the mixtapes.
Yeah,
right?
the mixtapes with like Ralphie T. And I still remember the day when I first met him, and I was a little kid, and I was just like, oh my god, I looked at him as a celebrity. I looked at him, that's DJ Bass Boy, that's DJ Bass Boy. So I know he's gonna kill me for mentioning this, but I wanted to talk to him, but I remember that first time he got so drunk. he got so drunk he had to get carried home. But
Get drunk? What?
But then I'll tell you more about that. That friendship down the line. But yeah, and as my brothers started getting older, we had I'd say we, because at the same time they're my friends as well. We had friends that they started going. They were going to college at U of I, so they were going over there, and then they would be like, hey, why don't you guys come down here and DJ? And my brothers were just like, yeah, so they would go down there. And that is when more and more, like the nightclub scene, and then those parties, the fraternity parties,
I was gonna
sorority
say, that's
party.
what I was gonna, I was just gonna
Yeah,
ask you about the sorority fraternity parties. And,
yeah.
and then I know, for what I remember, you guys, you had a big following with the Gammas, the Betas.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Our
You had
fraternity.
that, that part of the, you were saying,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's like so. Our fraternity was Omega Delta, but at the same time, like my brother Jesse, when he was in college at UIC, Omega Delta wasn't around. So he was, he never joined the Betas, but he was really cool with them, and they were throwing parties. They started throwing parties here in Chicago. They've been around for a while, and they were telling like, hey, why don't you guys come DJ at our parties? And then that's how little by little everything just starts just expanding. We would do parties with one organization. Next thing you know, like, oh hey, how come why don't you guys come DJ for us? So then that's how um,
So
we started.
you had an advantage, you guys as brothers, because you basically had two generations of college people that were following
Yeah,
you.
yeah, no, yeah, and then and then Eddie ended up, Jesse was going to UIC, then Eddie, followed shortly, and then Omar, and then myself. So, yeah, it was a great network because of the fact that it wasn't just, yeah, it was college time, it was partying, but then at the same time, like especially like our organization was really big on philanthropy. So, they would do car washes, they would do parties, but it would be for fun, fundraising. It would be fundraising to donate to a certain cause or anything like that. So it was good. It was and that's where and then more and more like my brothers they got into the nightclubs, and that's going forward a little bit. That's how Convent, Richie's, a classic college night at Richie's on Thursdays, the drink, biology bar, circus. I could go on and on and on, but that's how I said, I mentioned Joaquin Salamanca. My brother Jesse told me, he's like, yeah, he's the one that got me in little by little, and then Jesse became really good friends with Julius Oliver, and he started bringing him around, and then he would come DJ at the basement parties, and they would start DJing together at the nightclubs, and my brother Jesse met Julius Oliver through a good friend of ours, Ray Vega. So and then yeah, I was just from listening to Julius Oliver the last time on your show, and it brought back a lot of memories. It was great times where I still remember the first time that I met Julius Oliver in the basement. And I still remember the record that he was playing. That's how much of an influence, another influence that he made on me as well. That I was looking, I was like, man, it's Julius Oliver. It's like I've heard a lot of good things about him and stuff. And yeah, and then little by little, we would still do weddings, cotillions. That's obviously, a major side thing for a lot of DJs. A lot of DJs.
Right, right. I
Yeah.
was gonna say, and did you guys go as the brothers doing DJs? Was it like all four of yous, or was it two of yous? And then,
No, no, it was actually, I mean, I was too young. My mom actually did not want me getting into DJing. She she's like, I already got three kids that are partying and doing the whole DJ. She's like, I want you to focus on your studies and do all that stuff. And come on, man, it was in me. It's a part of me. I was just like, yeah, yeah, sure, sure. But it was something I would be in the basement watching my brothers DJ and watching their friends DJ. And I was like, man, that's cool. I want to learn. I want to learn. But it wasn't until like later on, like I was 14 years old when I approached my brother Eddie, because he was DJing. We had the equipment set up, and he was the one. Well, I wouldn't say that I approached him. He was like, you want to learn how to DJ? And I was like, yeah, I would love to. And he's like, okay. He's so the way he taught me the same way that they were taught, where you get the same two records and you blend them in. Here are two copies of the same record, and just here you go. And I was like, oh, that's no problem. But you know, everybody obviously learns differently, but that was the way that we were taught. And I remember it. I struggled a lot. I struggled a lot getting started. I couldn't catch on, and it was just a fact of just having my brothers and then having friends that were still supportive. Like, don't give up, keep going. And yeah, it's
do you think do you think because your brothers, because the fame that they had, that you had a lot of, looking up to? Like you're like, oh, maybe that's
Yeah,
a good one.
no, I still remember there was a basement party where Victor Salazar was DJing, and I went up, hey, you mind if I throw one in? And he was like, yeah. And I knew it was bad. I knew it was horrible, but it was still early in the night. The party was barely getting started. And I knew I was way off beat. And then I just asked Victor, I was like, hey, how was it? And Victor was just being supportive. He was like, oh, it was good, man. It was good. He's like, you just gotta keep practicing, keep practicing. Um, and that was what I did. A lot of the times, like, my brothers weren't around on the weekends because they were already DJing at the clubs. So,
Right.
you know, so whatever time I had, I would DJ downstairs. I would practice. I had my friends that I was growing up with. They were right there listening. They were my audience. So, and then some of them were starting to learn how to DJ. So it was good. It was a fact that, like, yeah, coming from a line of brothers that were DJs and already were making a name for themselves. It was I wouldn't say pressure. It was the fact of, like, it's just a thing of, like, you know, I want to be them. I want to be like them. I want to get
Right.
out there. I want to make a name for myself. And
I'm
yeah,
sure that's pressure, some pressure, because
yeah, yeah. I
you're,
guess, yeah,
you're the family name.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course. So, but it was
Eh,
great, the fact that, like, my brothers, as I started getting older, I got to meet a great network of other DJs as well.
oh,
And
absolutely, because
yeah, we
once they found out you were one of the brothers, they're like,
yeah,
ah,
yeah,
yeah.
no, yeah, yeah, and everybody was really, welcoming. I remember when I first met Nandi Max. Nandi Max was, a really cool guy. He was the one that actually got, like, us like our first production, like, setup, like they were the disc, Soundforge just barely came out, Acid, Vegas Video. So he was just like, here you guys, if you guys ever get into producing, here you go. Um, so he was great. He would come to the house and, party and stuff like that. And he's like, oh, hey, like, I was like, hey, man, I don't know how to set any of this up. I don't know how to do it and this and that. He's like, oh, it's real simple. I'll show you. So, he was the one that opened the door, for us to, like, start producing. And I met him, and then I met Dinamico. I remember the first time I met Dinamico, I was underage, but I got into 720 before, it reopened again. Um,
Everybody's got an underage at
yeah,
720.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was, I guess you would say that was the only club that I was able to get in, because, I walked in with the DJ case, and they were just like, hey, what's up, Eddie? I'm like, oh, hey, what's up? So, I walked in, and I was just amazed. I was like, walked in, I was like, wow, this is 720. And I was like, my brothers, they were DJing on they were on the second floor. And then, um, I, obviously before that, I got to meet, that's when I met Dinamico, and then, got to hang out with Dinamico more, because of Andy Lopez. Andy Lopez was a, great friend of ours, still is. And he was the one that, as well, he got us a lot of opportunities as well. Um, and that was a thing where, then the Spanish pop came out, the Spanish pop phase that, everybody was, like, jumping on board. So, my
Yeah,
brother Omar got.
I was just listening to La Mejor de Rock Volume 1 from Dinamico on July 4th. I was just
Oh, really?
listening to, yeah, I was, and Eddie Garcia, he was telling me, he goes, hey, man, I need that CD again because I wore it out, like literally.
Yeah, no, I remember. Yeah, and he was another guy too that I saw Dinamico, because, Spanish pop mixes, there's rock en español, all that stuff. And there was another guy too. It was like, man, he's like, you're badass. He's like, thank you, and a very cool guy. It was down to earth. Um, and then, we were hanging out with Andy Lopez a lot, and that was, during the times where, you know, summer came along. Even our fraternity was still doing events. So, we had our annual picnics that were very well known, and it was more and more. It was more and more.
What was the of the betas, what was his name? The president that was doing a lot of the events. What was his name?
Uh, I wouldn't know offhand. Wouldn't
Because
know.
I mean, that's I met him over at 720 when they were
Uh,
when you guys were doing
Fredo.
Alfredo. Okay,
Fredo,
yeah,
Fredo. Yeah, Fredo. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I couldn't remember. I was like, oh no, I'm like, it's on the tip of my tongue, but yeah, Fredo. Great guy, great guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But it was, we were still keeping busy with like cotillions, weddings, and that's when like little by little I started. Like when I was heading off into college, um, I started little by little. Like my brothers were kind of just like, oh, we're just gonna stick mainly to the clubs. But then I was just like, well, I might as well, keep doing the weddings and cotillions. People still want to hire us for that, obviously, um, and that's where a big part of who we are got like like that's how we got our name out there a lot more besides the nightclubs. So and even to this day, we do get contacted a lot for cotillions, weddings. um we even travel, we even get flown out for weddings to like Mexico or or Latin America, any other place like that, which is it's great because of the fact that like it's we've always kept ourselves open about different things in the sense that like I guess music wise being open format, playing salsa, merengue, house, hip hop, um, and especially in Chicago. In Chicago, it's a city that you kind of unless you're somebody that like that's like that boy Bill or somebody else of that caliber that can just play whatever he wants. In Chicago, you do have to be open format. It's a
right,
strong
right,
thing, and I'm not saying you have to. I'm not saying you have to know how to. You have to know how to DJ salsa, merengue, or bachata, but you need to you know be able to move around, especially like right now, like you have reggaeton. So there's a lot of DJs that do reggaeton, hip hop, and house music, but they're putting more on their resume as far as like music wise. They could play,
right.
they could play more and more stuff. So
So I mean, it, if you don't mind me asking, how old is Jesse right now?
Jesse is, oh my God, I believe he's 45.
Okay,
Yeah, I believe he's 45.
so you came into the scene probably in 1990. I mean, I should say Jesse about 1990. Is
Yeah,
that about right?
yeah,
So obviously then you got into the scene about in let's say about 95, 96 ish, in the sense of going to actual DJ
yeah.
because
I mean, yeah. For I just turned 37, so
okay,
I've been DJing. I've been DJing since I was 14 years old. Um, and then yeah, like I was mainly doing, like I said, I was mainly doing the weddings, the billions,
right,
and then um, when I turned 21, I'm trying to remember exactly, but I remember at the time, my brother Omar, my brother Jesse had retired. He was just like, he was done with it. He had his fun. My brother Eddie was a little back and forth. He would, he was mainly doing like mobile gigs and all that stuff. And then when I started, when I was about to turn 21, um, my brother Omar was mainly working with Eddie Churro. He was DJing with
yes,
Eddie Churro and a few other promoters, different places and stuff like that. He was with Leon, um, and little by little he was just like, hey, we got to get my brother in. We got to get my brother in. At the same time, I was also doing a bar up north called La Taberna, which is where originally Mauricio Sundays were started. La
right,
Taberna
right,
Tapatia. Uh,
right, on Ashland,
yeah, on Ashland and Roscoe.
right,
So I was over there, when I wasn't doing a mobile or something like that, I was over there with my brother Eddie. And my brother Omar was downtown, he was doing Pasha, um, and there was a few other places. So he was doing that. And when it came time for me to be officially allowed to be in the 21 and over club, he was just like, hey, come on, let's get my brother on board. So and that from there it took off, where I was I was getting into that mindset where like, yeah, I don't think I want to do mobile gigs anymore. I think I'm gonna stick to the club scene. So you're 21, you wanna take advantage you want to take advantage of that time. So, and that's how, yeah. And, from there, we ended up meeting more and more DJs. We started, DJ Scream came on board. We started working with him, Eddie V, Cisco, DJ X. So, and, one thing, we, and then we, my brother also was, DJ for the Segura brothers, Gabriel, Gabriel
Right,
Segura, little by little, they were doing their events, and then they ended up getting Green Dolphin,
correct.
and the two ended up getting Sangria, and then throughout that time, throughout that time when I was in my 20s, late 20s, we bounced around at different spots, but we had Green Dolphin on Saturdays, Sangria on Saturdays, and there was other places. We had. I remember Julius mentioning Moda. Moda. When we got into Moda, and then Republic opened up next to Sangria.
Right.
You had Zentra. We would, on occasion do some spots at Zentra. So, even though we had our residencies, we would, we would do our guest spots at different places. I'm trying to right now think of just some of the other clubs that were just in that little area.
And,
But then
and,
you
and
had
the music and the music you were playing was everything, right? It was a little bit of everything. Wherever, as far as the night, like if you were at Sangria, you were
yeah,
playing a little bit of everything. Because I think that was probably almost the last time I seen you was at Sangria. Was the last time I seen you was Eddie had it,
yeah,
and I think I was working with what's his name, the owner of the place for a little bit, and I think
Bortz,
yeah, Mark Works.
yeah,
And I think I was upstairs with providing some guys upstairs. I think we were doing the Latin stuff upstairs, and you
uh-huh,
guys were downstairs.
yeah,
If I'm not
yeah.
mistaken,
So
that's how. Eddie
yeah,
might.
I mean, yeah, mainly the main room. So it was
Right,
it was Lalo, DJ Scream, Cisco,
right,
myself, Eddie V, DJ X. At that time, Aura was coming around as well. DJ Aura was
right,
coming around. And then, when we were in Republic days, we got to know some of the other guys like Johnny, DJ Image, Poochie, who's part of Henchmen with, Eddie V and those guys. Um, and it was that time. It would mainly, we were just mainly doing like the land scene, and then 720 reopened. So you had that, and that was one of the things where um, we all got put together. So you had Andy Lopez, you had Beto Rocks, you had Dinamico, you had
right,
Aura, you had a who else? I'm trying to think. Obviously my brother Andy Lopez, and a few other guys that would come in, do guest sets and stuff like that. Um,
right.
and that was just that was a big thing right there, because we were doing 720, we were doing Sangria, we were doing Green Dolphin. So it was a busy time. It was a really busy time. Um, and like I said, just it was great just being around a great group of DJs that just we had each other's back. We always, if somebody needed music or something like that or anything like that, we're like, oh hey, it's we always were helping each other out, which was good.
I mean, just not that it happened to you, but I know that, like, if we're going there and let's say I don't know if we're DJing CDs or, but let's say something goes wrong. I know as DJs, we would be like, use my laptop. Go ahead. Use, we wouldn't care because a lot of us had the same music on our laptop as that.
No, yeah,
So
no,
or
no,
so
yeah, 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 yeah. You're right. I remember there's been times where that was around the time when I started doing my own production. Um, we started doing mashups, bootlegs. That's when all that stuff started happening, and and I remember everybody. It was funny because sometimes you would just see people with their laptops open and stuff like that, and it was great because the fact that like I would send it out to the guys like, hey, here, if you guys like it, play it. But everybody everybody had at least I used to call them a RP mix back in when I was just making edits when I started off just making edits, RP mix, and then little by little I started doing more and more production, and yeah, I would share it with the crew. I would say, here you go, man, here you go, guys. And it was great. The fact that like when you hear your music being played by other DJs, it's kind of crazy to say, but I'm sometimes shy about playing my own stuff. It's as crazy as it sounds. But when I hear other DJs play it, it feels great. It's a great feeling, and that's when.
So you had mentioned mashups. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's talk about that. You had mentioned about 90 Max setting up your studio and doing production and stuff like that. So why don't you let everybody understand how that plays into what you're talking about?
Yeah. So that was around the time my oldest brother Jesse, he was getting out of the scene. Eddie was mainly Eddie, Omar, and myself, and so we were, it just kind of just happened. We were out partying one night, and came back to the house, and Nandi was just like, "Hey, did you guys ever set up the music programs that I gave you?" And just like, no, because we don't. I guess I don't know if we had the right wiring. Something was going on. We couldn't get it going. He's like, "Oh, let me help you." He's like, so he was moving the studio around. He's like, put this over here, and he got it going. And as soon as he got it going, oh my God, it was just like boom, it just took off. It was the fact that like I want to say that we locked ourselves into that studio for hours and hours. It was either making mixes or just little by little doing simple edits or a mashup. I remember when I finally got to meet and talk to Bass Boy, he was telling me, he was like, "Hey, I wanna transfer, I want to record all my records onto CD." And at the time we had just set up the studio. I'm like, "Yeah, man, come on over," and this and that. And that was, I was still, I mean, I was, obviously listening to all types of music, but I was still a big, really big on new wave, alternative, classics. And he had all that stuff. So he was just like, yeah, here, he's like, help me copy everything, and obviously you keep a copy for yourself. So, oh my God, man, we used to be locked up in there for hours, just, it was hard because, the thing is that we would be in there for hours, but you would only copy a couple of records because you were copying the whole thing. Some of these songs were 8 minutes long, 9 minutes long, and it was, how the old school stuff was. It's, sometimes it was,
There's no quick way. There's no quick way to copy.
Yeah. No, and that was another thing too. Like I remember in your interview with Julius, how you guys were talking about how like before, like you could be trying to copy so many songs, but you only get like one disc worth in one day,
Right,
and I was like, man, I remember that. I would be downloading music all day, and at the end of the day, I would just make one CD with like 12 songs on it, and then but that's how. Yeah, and then it's just a matter of simple like practicing, because at the same time, Bass was like, oh, I want to finish some mixes that I started, but I don't have the equipment, stuff like that. Like, yeah, just come on over whenever you want. So he would come over, and then Andy Lopez would be coming over, hanging out. Joe Estrada, rest in peace. He was one of the guys that he was always with us, man. He was a great support. Great support. He was hanging out. And it was, like I said, it was the fact that like once Nandi, helped me out with that, it was a fact that like if anybody ever needed anything, like as far as studio time or anything like that, I was always like, hey, you're more than welcome to come over whenever you want. My parents, they were cool. They didn't mind. They were like, hey, as long as you guys are here hanging out, this doesn't matter. And yeah, that's how, more and more, I would start little by little, like, when I was already like, okay, I already got the edits down. I got mashed up, bootlegging. Like I want to start like actually remixing. I want to get into remixing. I want to try to produce my own song. Because then you see, obviously you see, me growing up, you see people like Bad Boy Bill, come out with songs. You see Caesar, coming out with songs and stuff like that. Like, man, and I remember the same time too when I met, oh my God, I met Caesar at Voyeur, in the club that's in the basement.
We were in Ohio.
Yeah, in Ohio, yeah. Nandi Max, I remember Nandi Max was DJing, and I was there with my brother. We were in the DJ booth, and I remember Caesar coming in, and he's like, my brother, he's like, "Oh, that's Caesar." Oh man, introduce me, man. I would love to, would love to pick his brain and just, ask him questions about stuff. And Caesar's always been cool, man. Even to this day, when he comes out, when I invite him, he's like, there's, sometimes there's DJs that, that come from other states or other countries and come down. Like, hey man, why don't you come out? I'd like you to meet this guy. He's a cool cat. You guys could talk about production or whatnot and everything. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. And even to this day, like when he shows up, and I still pick his brain, even though I'm already more, into production, but I still like, hey, what do you think about this? And what do you think about, any little thing? And he's always very helpful. And that's, I always you see his discography of all the songs that he's made that's, put Chicago, he put Chicago on the map, because these songs were pretty, I wouldn't say pretty, they were badass. And, even to this day, people are still playing them. Even to this day, people are still playing them. People are still rocking them around the world. Even
Well,
sometimes when go ahead.
I think that had a lot to do with the fact that he didn't stick to just the Chicago house sound.
Yeah.
He went into other varieties of underground music and different styles of the what's called. So he had his own little niche and not just doing the typical, fast
Yeah.
style, or like, and if you go into any, like between Jess and CZR, all these guys that are doing the remixing and they're doing production of their own records, and especially because times change, so they evolve in their music and stuff like that. So before you got into that so much of production, did any of you guys, any of the brothers, ever make any mixtapes, or was it always? Did you guys ever do that? Any of that?
You know what? You know what? No, they never did. I don't know why. Believe it or I never. Yeah, it was always the fact that like we had all our DJ friends that were making mixes. Like we had Dinamico, we had Andy Lopez, Alex Atomic G, Julius Oliver was coming out with mixes. Bass Boy, Bass Boy, and then we had other guy, that I met, other DJs that I met through like Bass Boy, because when Bass Boy used to DJ, he used to do Guadalajara. So from there, I got to meet Drac. I got to meet DJ Drac. I got to meet DJ Chino, and other guys as well. And these guys were putting out mixes. Vince Mello, I got to meet Vince Mello back in those days. And my brothers just,
it seems that in that year of 2000 seems to be where everybody was making mixtapes. That was like
my brother Omar did a guest mix for Woho. That was when they were doing guest mixes. So he did that for that station. And then once I got the studio all set up, that's when we started more and more together, started putting together some more and more mixes. So, and it was mainly just mainly like Omar, myself, Eddie, now he's gotten more back into it, which he's a part, so that we're doing mixes for the radio station, now, not to fast forward, but I'll go back, but now we're doing mixes for Pitbull on Globalization on Sirius XM.
Right.
But I'll get to that later on. But the mixes, I remember when I was in high school, and one of my buddies who was a DJ, he came out with a mix. He came out with a mix, and I was like, man, it's like I gotta come out with a mix. I gotta find something to release. But it's not as easy as some people think. It's always when you hit that record button, that's when you start hearing all the problems little by little, but when you're not you're not recording, you're just like, oh wow, yeah, that was good, I'll do this, I'll do that. But once you hit the record button, there's always something.
So no, that's why I was asking, because I figured with you for you guys, I figured maybe somebody made a mixtape, but you were in that scene, and there was enough people around you making mixtapes, so that's why I was like, okay, well, you know, we, I,
Yeah,
I,
no, it wasn't until later on that we started doing like the Perez and that's what we call the House of Perez mixes. So once we did that, we started just giving them out. One of the best things that we did was just the fact that we used our fraternity as a marketing as a marketing platform. We're just like, hey guys, this is our new mix. So, feel free to, and yeah, man, they were duplicating that like crazy, and giving it out at parties, and more and more. It's just, we just started. That's when we started just doing more mixes, little by little.
so,
So
so when you say mixes, you made the mixes on the CDs and you give them
yeah,
out
yeah,
to.
this was a CD. Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't, get a chance to do an actual a mixtape. So,
Right.
you know.
So, yeah, probably lucky you didn't.
Well, no, I
Because
mean, I know you. You got the mixes under your belt, so it's just I can imagine
yeah,
it. So
it was a blessing and a curse at the same time. I mean, but I mean, for its time, it was great. For its time, it was great. And then, and then obviously, if you heard a couple of the interviewers, Napster comes in, Lee Farmer, when he's talking about Lee Farmer, he says Napster came in and that put a kibosh on all CDs.
oh my god, yeah,
Because
Nap
then it,
Napster. Yeah.
yeah, then it was downloading. Then that's what it was. It was so I mean, you're in the studio and you start making these mixes and remixes. Now, what happens? What goes forward at that point when you start getting into the
Yeah.
studio?
So from there, I mean, mainly it was because of the fact that I mean there was still mainly a lot of music was doing a lot of labels still, so it was kind of hard. When I would release a mashup or a bootleg, I remember being so stubborn that like, man, I gotta get this released. But come on, you can't. You technically, not. I mean, I wouldn't say technically, you can't, without getting permission from both parties, release a mashup or a bootleg. And then how many submissions do they get daily? It's like of all the music, they go through it on a daily basis. So it was just the fact of giving out music. I would email it to them or something. Hey, just came out with this. Hope you enjoy it. Little by little. Um, and then it was, like I said, it was, remixing. There was, I started finding websites where they were doing remix competitions. So, they gave you the parts of a song. I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. This is a way to start getting into that more and more, and obviously legitimate, because this is the actual label that's hosting it. They're the ones that's hosting the remix
Right.
competition. So they're going to release it. They're going to get it out on Beatport or Track Source or that stuff. Yeah. So my first official release was in 2010. Called Town. It was on Town Music Records, and oh my god, I look back at it and I was just like, wow, it's been that long now that it's 10 years ago that I released that, and it was, man, I was flying because I was just so happy that, just seeing our name just like on Beatport, seeing it on Track Source and other online stores, that it was awesome. It was a great feeling. And it's just that just pretty much it I guess it was just a snowball effect kind of. I think you would say. I just kind of kept going with it. Just like, all right, this remix got picked up. All right, let me do another remix competition. Let me get on that, and started doing that, and then more and more and more, and then more and more releases started coming up. And next thing you type in something on Beatport or Track Source or that stuff, and just seeing the name there, it's awesome. And then in 2012 was when I won a remix competition. It was about 500 entries, and it was for Kevin Saunderson, who's really big in Detroit techno, who's well known for that. Um, and that was just wow. It was just when they emailed me, they're like, "Congratulations, you're the winner of the competition." And it was crazy because I waited like 6 months. I still remember it was due. I turned it in. I turned it in December of 2011, and didn't hear back anything until May May of 2012. They're like, congratulations, you won the competition. We need this and this and that from you. And this was just like, wow. I was like, man, Kevin Saunderson and then KMS Records. And I was just like, it was great. It was a great feeling. And that was just right there when I did that, it just kept me to keep going. DJing, don't get me wrong, DJing is always the main thing for me. But it was always, when I started DJing later on, it was the fact that like I wanted to learn production. I wanted to learn how to make music, you know, and that's how little by little, you do edits, you do mashups, you do bootlegs, and then next thing you know, you start doing remixes. And that's when you, like I said, when you see the name on something official like that on a website, it's a really, really good feeling. And it makes up it pretty much all the hard work that you put into this, worth it. It's just like you look back at it like, wow, what a difference from when we first started to now, especially in DJing in general as well. Like, we started, my brothers and then us, we started DJing in a basement, and then now, we're DJing on Sirius XM for Pitbull, for Globalization Station. Now, we're getting flown out to Mexico, we're getting flown out to Latin America, to DJ at clubs over there. And it's just a fact of like, wow, it was just one of those things like, who would have known? Who would have thought that we would have been doing that? And it's just, and we're grateful for the support, everybody that's always been by our side supporting us. And that's one of the great things, is that when you do have that great support system, it's you can do anything. And that's another thing too, that I wanted to mention, that like I think it's the fact that like us as DJs, especially like right now what's going on, we all need to be supportive of one another. And it's the fact that like, don't knock on anybody's style or what they're doing. If they're unfortunately, I saw some like negativity about people that were streaming live, and like they didn't do it right or anything like that. And it was negative. I was like, dude, we don't need that. We don't need, be positive, or message them on the side and be like, hey, listen, if I can help out in any way, with your live stream or anything like that, let me know. And that's how I've always been in general too. And my brothers as well, we've always gave out a hand to anybody that needed help. So that's one of the good things about the DJ community in general, is the fact that like you do have a great support system in general.
So I mean, so obviously with the COVID hitting, it didn't slow you guys down at all. I mean, because you guys were, as far as because you guys were everything's online, right? You're doing everything.
Thankfully, knock on wood, we were still turning in radio mixes for Globalization. And then even sometimes they'd be like, hey, we got an extra slot for you guys too. Like, you guys want to make an extra mix? Like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Obviously the whole nightclub scene closed down, and at first it was weird. I mean, you could imagine not just us, but a lot of DJs all over the world kind of being like, wow, like I have Friday and Saturday off for the first time and God knows how long.
I'm a perfect example, having 5 nights, down to 0. I mean, that's
no, yeah, and it's just, and not even just Friday and Saturday, but like even during the week, there's DJs that's what they have, is just that's their livelihood. And
yep.
We were just hanging out yesterday, and we ran into one of our DJ buddies, DJ Navik, and he was just like, man, I put my pride aside and I went and got a job. Some of the places that he's DJing at opened up, but he was just like, he's like, man, he's like, I remember how you guys used to do. You guys don't like going out during the week because you guys have your job. He was like, yeah, it's just the fact of, it's hard, when you're staying out late and you got to be up to work the next day, and it's the fact that like, we always kept it where we're like, yeah, we're DJing, but we're just gonna DJ Friday, Saturday, unless we could do something early Sunday, that's fine. But even sometimes during the week we get contracted for a certain event. like I said, our fraternity, Omega Delta still, a lot of the members, they still reach out to us and be like, hey, can you guys DJ for this event? Can you guys DJ for this? And it could be anything. It could be anything from a fashion show to just a regular kind of day where they, an event for networking, and that's. But yeah, it's unfortunate to see like a lot of DJs right now, especially that, this is their livelihood, and there's nothing they can do. They have to wait it out.
Right, and that's it. That's the unfortunate thing. Well, I mean, there's a couple things that are opening up, and I know that's gonna, but that doesn't affect you guys because, like I said, you're doing mostly the production aspect of it. So
Yeah.
so on globalization, you're gonna be fine. As far as and probably more so now, you got more listeners listening to the radio.
Yeah, no, definitely. I know that Sirius XM has been they were giving out, they're giving out memberships, free memberships for the next 3 months or 4 months, or it was funny because this the last weekend of June, pretty much like all of 4th of July weekend, it was like, oh, it was all free. So people were just like, hey, if you don't have you could catch the mix and stuff like that, and you can go on there. You don't need an account. So, but yeah, no, and I want to give a big shout out to our buddy Big Sife from LA who helped us with that journey, because that it was something that was like, wow. It's like we were on there, and next thing you know, we're just like, man, he's like, this is something else. this is big. Because you see a lot of other DJs that have, their shows. You got, there's so many different, but being on this, especially, because it's an open format, open format station where we get to play all kinds of stuff. We go from house music to salsa to bachata or reggaeton to hip hop, and it's great.
I was gonna ask you how, because you're doing this now with the global, the Cyrus station. How is it different in making a mix for them compared to making a mix that you made on a CD that to give out for your friends? How is it different? I mean,
yeah, well, obviously there's guidelines that we follow. They tell us, obviously keep it clean, and spread out the music, spread out the genres, so do a little bit of a house, go into hip hop, and then some Latin, so it's great because of the fact that, like, because we get to play a variety of music, which is good. Obviously, when you're just making a mix for fun, you probably, if you're feeling a house set, you're gonna play all house. Or if if you're feeling something else, you're gonna be like, you're pretty much gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna make a mix of just hip hop, or I'm just gonna make a mix of just reggaeton. But over here, they want a variety of genres, so it's good. It's good. And yeah, we've met a lot of DJs, in other countries and other cities, that made us look at this approach of the DJ life in different ways. Because, like I said, there's some guys that's all they do is DJ. That's their livelihood. Other guys, they promote, they do promotions, or they do, how would I say, it's the, some of them are just mainly production. And yeah, it's and that's, I guess, in a way, that also has opened up the doors in a sense where, like, now you have more things online. So you have, like, obviously all the record, all the music, everything is like, like I said, Beatport, Traxsource. But now you have websites like DJ City that carry all types of music. That they have reggaeton, salsa, house, hip hop. They have mashups. They have bootlegs, DJ friendly intros.
Well, I was gonna ask you, are you doing any remixes for any of the remix companies at this point?
Yeah, yes, actually, I have some stuff on DJ City. I have some stuff on Headliner Music Club, which is through another 2 DJs that we know from, based out of LA, Eric Deluxe, DJ 5. I'm trying to figure out what's another one. What's another DMS, which is a direct music service. And there's a few. There's a few. If you type in Rick Perez bootleg, you'll you're gonna see a lot of stuff come out. And there's some different websites. But yeah, that's one of the good things, like that, especially besides putting my music out on Beatport and Track Tours, putting it out on these websites as well, because
Yeah,
you
because
get
these are DJ service websites.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm breaking it down is because people who are listening, we have regular people.
Yeah.
Not all DJs.
Yeah, you're right. No, so they cater more to the, either, I guess you would say, the open format club DJ, or even the like weddings and pavilions and stuff like that, because you have all kinds of music on there. And it's great because of the fact that, like, it's kind of, I guess you would say, it's a one-stop shop. But at the same time, some websites have certain music, some other websites have another style, or they have exclusives that some others don't. So,
Well, that's why I was asking, because I do mostly videos. So
Yeah.
I'm part of, I do videos. So that's my focus is the videos and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But you guys don't mess with videos, right? It's all audio.
No, yeah. Mainly, my brother Omar, when he goes out, he's mainly on the USBs. My brother Eddie and myself, we're on the Mac, where we have the Serato and everything. So, but it's yeah. I remember. Oh my God, I still remember when Serato first came out. Remember it was DJ 33 and a third. Like, he's one of the first guys to start using Serato that I saw when we were DJing at Red 05, when we used to do Red 05. So I was just like, wow. He's like, what is that? He's like, oh, this is gonna be the new thing, man. He's like, watch, it's gonna blow up. And then next thing you know, I would see Beto Rocks. Have, he was on Serato and stuff like that. And there's more and more DJs you started seeing, and yeah, it's highly convenient for the fact that now, you just need your computer, and you need an external hard drive if you want, just in case.
Right.
And you plug in, especially now, like a lot of the clubs all have the new mixers where you don't even need your Serato box anymore. You just hook up directly into it. So, me, I always have a backup to a backup. Whenever I go do a wedding or a cotillion or a mobile gig, I actually have 2 Serato boxes with me, just in case.
Right.
It's.
Well, because you're doing all these remixes and stuff like that, have you got any of you guys that gone into streaming and live or anything with like the DJs are doing now? Or did you guys?
Yeah. We actually set up. When the whole COVID thing hit, we were seeing our buddies that were DJing online, stuff like that. Like DJ Vice from LA was really pushing Twitch, as well as Eric Deluxe and a couple other guys, like, at the websites that they were at. So they were just like, oh, Twitch, check out Twitch. Because I know a lot of people had problems with Facebook Live and Instagram. So they were getting cut off, copyrights and all that stuff. So it was like, oh, check out Twitch. So it was either before that or like Periscope. I know Periscope was another one. So, but yeah, we ended up setting up on Twitch, and Twitch was good. So we started setting. We did our first live stream at the end of March, maybe beginning of April, and it was great. It was fun. It was really something completely different. Some DJs are against the whole streaming thing. They're like, no, I don't want to do it. Some others they're doing it every day. But the fact that, like, yeah, it was fun because we got to engage with a lot of our fans on a different scale. I guess you would say different platform. I guess one of the funniest stories that I can honestly say that happened during a live stream was one of our buddies from LA was tuning in, and he was like, hey, and he's like, open the door. And I was like, what do you mean open the door? He's like, yeah, open the door. And I was like, I'm like, what are you talking? Like, are you surprising us? Like, dude, we're on lockdown. You're not supposed to, if you're in if you're from California, you're not supposed to be traveling or anything like that. He's like, no, just go answer the door. So my buddy was there, DJ Frankie B, who was the one that was doing streaming with us. He goes and opens the door, and it's a pizza delivery guy. And he's like, oh, here you go. He's like, huh? He's like, so our friend that from California, his name's Rick, so he's like, oh yeah, this is from Rick. And I was like, what? I was like, he's like, so I get back online, we're right there eating the pizza. And our buddy from California, he's like, hey, I hope you guys enjoy the pizza. I ordered them for you. I look forward to you guys streaming every Saturday. This is a good way to get my mind off of things and stuff like that. So it was actually pretty cool, getting somebody from California to order us a pizza just so we can, have something to eat and just stream and DJ and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's fun. It's good, just to engage with some fans that obviously they don't go out to the nightclubs or, just pretty much, with their families and stuff like that. So it's good.
Right.
It's good. So, and that's another, another platform that we do is the PB&J Mix Show, which is, going back to the guys who taught us how to DJ, Peter C, Juventino, and Mark, that was something that they wanted to, put together to, live stream and, get DJs that, just to come together and have somewhere just to, like, besides even DJing, but just to hang out, drink. And like, there's a lot of DJs that I met that I never knew of before. There's some DJs that, they're strictly from the South Side or they're strictly from the North Side. But that's in a way it's a good thing because of like I said, you network with people, you grow your network more with just different people that you would have never thought that you would be meeting. So
Cool. And then with the remixing that you, or should I say the radio, is it all you brothers doing it, or is it just you, or is it?
No, it's Omar, myself, and my brother Eddie. So we're the ones that
Okay.
we're the ones that do it. But we leave the Perez brothers and my brother Jesse. Obviously, my brother Jesse, he lives in Florida now, but he's still supporting. He's still anything that we got going. He's in it 100%. So he's just as involved as well. And I guess it's just like I said, it was mainly like Omar and myself are the ones doing the majority of the nightlife scenes, the clubs, some of the boat parties. That they'll be going on either at Navy Pier or on the Summer of George.
I know PB&J had a boat party.
Yes. So that's one of the ones that I help out with the Cariago brothers, so to put something together. So it's great. We actually have one coming up at the end of the month on July 25th.
Great.
And
so no, I was just saying that. He says, I remember on with your nemesis. I call him your nemesis because there's another Rick Perez here in Chicago.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So that's Ricky Awajita Perez. Shout out the guy. Yeah, it was funny because I remember this was back when we were DJing. When we would do guest spots for you at Palladium. So I remember that was the first I met Ricky Awajita Perez, but I saw his name on flyers and I was like, who the hell's this guy? This and that, blah blah blah. And I know my brother, my brother Omar and Eddie, they know him from the 720 days. So something like, oh, he's a really cool guy. And I was just like, well, I got to meet him someday. And yeah, I remember we were DJing at Palladium, and and I remember I met him, and he was like, hey, how's it going? He's like, you're one of the Perez brothers? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I'm Ricky Perez. And he's like, well, I'm Ricky Perez. He's like, I'm Ricky Perez. He's like, yeah, but you're Ricky Awajita Perez. He's like, listen, we're not gonna battle. We're not gonna do any of that. He's like, I know how we can solve this. I'm like, how are we gonna solve this? He's like, how old are you? And I was like, at the time, I think I was like 20, 21 or something like that. And he's like, all right, I get the name because I'm older than you. And I was like, and I was like, okay, that's fine. And yeah, so I just ended up dropping the Y. I stuck to Rick Perez. And I liked it even more, believe it or not. I like.
But you were named. your name was Ricky Perez on the flyers before then, right? That was
Yeah. And then I noticed that I would see him, and he would always put Ricky Awajita Perez. And even to this day, he puts
right.
Ricky Awajita. After having that interesting conversation with him, and I was like, yeah, I think it's just better just to drop the Y and just stick with Rick Perez. And then it was good. It worked out, it worked out. So.
Trust me, we would give him shit about it too. So we're like,
Yeah.
hey, we would
Yeah.
because
So it worked out.
he worked for me for many years. Over at Club PM and 720 at Volcan. He's worked for me of all these years and stuff like that. But I know he's does things with the PB and J show as well. So he's working with those guys as well. So
Yes. Yeah. No, yeah, we have, it's him. We got DJ Matador, DJ Jairo,
right.
Geraldo Roman, on occasion, Gino Rock and Romo comes over often.
Right.
I'm Willie Rodriguez, trying to go, Martin, DJ, Martin Boogie Eastwood. I'm missing out some names, and I know they're gonna kill me for not the shout out. But it's a great group, and I crew, but also family. We've gotten to know each other a lot more because when Peter especially started everything, he was starting it out of his own house, and he was inviting all these DJs over, and I think it's already going on, I want to say almost 11 years. I know 10 years for sure, but it's almost going
Right.
on
So
11.
he was basically doing streaming before streaming was the thing.
You know what? Yes. And honestly, he started it off, and there was other, and there was other people too as well doing the live streaming and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was great because, like I said, I ended up meeting a lot of other new DJs that I can call my friends. That you know, like I said, and Bass Boy is still a part of it. He goes over there often, but he's the one that I've known for the longest, besides obviously Peter
And
and
believe
his
it or not,
brothers.
I asked Bass Boy to be on this, and he didn't want to. He's like, "Oh, I got nothing to talk about." I go,
Oh
"What?"
my, that guy. Oh, if you hear the stories between him and I, oh my God, it's hilarious. But I give that guy a hard time. I like messing with him because he's one of those guys. He's a good joker. He's a good prankster. But no, and I could
Oh,
see
I
where
know.
I could see where you're coming from on that. And because sometimes when there's been times where I'll hire him for a gig and stuff like that, or I'll have something. And he's like, oh my God. He's like, but what am I supposed to play? I'm like, dude, we're at a quinceañera. We're at a wedding. How many of these have you done in your whole entire life? He's like, yeah, but I don't know the crowd and this and that. Like, dude, just go with
We
go
never
with the
know the
flow.
crowd when we're doing theater or wedding. I mean, honestly, it's not
Yeah.
a nightclub. It's not. They didn't pay to come there. I mean, they're there as guests.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So, but yeah, I could see. I'll convince him. Don't worry about it. I'll talk to him because I know he's gonna be busting my chops. So, but
all right,
yeah,
so
he's.
we're coming down to the hour that we've been doing. I mean, it's longer than an hour, but that's fine. Anything? What would you consider before we sign off with you? What would be your highlight of your career at this point? What would be like your top?
I would say the highlight right now would be traveling to DJ. I guess one of the things that we love it. We love the fact of just, man, when you're in another country or a city and you get to play for a different group of people. Yeah, it could be very nerve wracking because you're like, man, are they gonna like my style of music? Are they gonna like the way we play? But then once everything just starts moving and they're just jamming, it's a great feeling. It's at the and there's and it's been great in general because of the fact that we've met a lot of DJs in different countries and different cities who have been very, very welcoming. Sometimes you've been in the scene, you've been in the business a long time. There tends to be some hostility. Some DJs are just, they're like that. They're they just have that.
Haters.
And that's the thing is just like, and we've always just been like, listen, man. He's like, if we're coming off the wrong way, we're sorry about that. But luckily we've been blessed to work with great groups of DJs, and and I'm very thankful for that, for everybody. Everybody in a way has always been a great support, um, to the sense where we're where we're at because of the support that we get. Um, Everybody that's helped us along the way. Um, but yeah, it's I would say, yeah, traveling definitely. I guess one of the highlights always is going to be Playa de Carmen Palazzo. If you're, anybody that asks, that's one of the clubs that I love to DJ at with my brothers. And then they have their favorites. They have their spots that this is the place where I love to DJ and stuff like that.
Right, right.
You know, but it's definitely traveling. Traveling and DJing.
That's in Cancun?
Yeah, that's in that Playa de Carmen, which is about 45 minutes from Cancun.
Okay, yeah.
Because then we have there, and then there's the group of DJs there. Fer Delgado, Alonso, Miguel, Alfonso. I want to get all these guys. Neff, shout out to Neff. These are guys that have been very welcoming to us all the time, because we go to Playa de Carmen. Well, not now at the time, but we go to Playa de Carmen at least three times a year. We're always over there for New Year's. We're always DJing over there for New Year's, and they're always very welcoming. We just once we get something set up, they're just like, hey, you guys come over here and play. And but we've been lucky to go DJ in Medellin, Colombia, Costa Rica, and we've been out to Brazil, and it's just that's one of the things where I look back at where we started and then where we're at now. And then obviously, being on globalization for People Nation, that's another big thing for us. And just yeah, it's one of those things where you see people posting it, all tuning into the Perez brothers on globalization. They'll take a screenshot, they'll tag it on Instagram or on Facebook. It's just a great feeling. And it's been a great journey. It's been a great journey. But in the end, it's like, I wouldn't say in the end, but in total, since the beginning, it's we've had a great deal of support from a lot of friends, DJ friends, family. So it's been great. It's been great.
All right. And we're about to sign off. So what do you want to say to anybody that signed in? Because quite a few people signed in. So
okay. Thank you. No, thank you, everybody. My brothers all say hi. They're camera shy. Thank you for your support. If anything, any tips or any advice as far as production or DJing, if you want to, anything like that, we're here. Thank you for tuning into our mixes on globalization. Thank you for listening on Mixcloud, SoundCloud, for supporting them, for supporting the production as well. If there's anything as far as regards to that, but no, it's just thank you, big thank you, and thank you, man, for the interview. And I will definitely talk to Bass Boy about about his possible interview, which I'm gonna get on top of him.
all right, cool.
So.
And don't sign off yet, but I'm going to sign off for everybody else. So thank you guys for showing up. And this is Rick Perez, not Ricky, but Rick Perez.
Yeah, Rick.
Representing the Perez brothers. Thank you very much.
Thank you again, man.
I appreciate it.